You peel back the foil and the steam comes up at your face. Turkey, cornbread dressing, sweet potatoes, peas. 4 foods, 4 compartments, nothing touching anything else. The corners are a little too brown. They always were. 98 cents. September the 10th, 1953. And this is the part every version of this story gets wrong. It was not cheap food. In 1953, a pot roast cost 43 cents a pound. 10 pounds of potatoes, 53 cents. A loaf of bread, 14. A mother could put that same dinner on the table for a family of 4 for under $2. 4 of these trays cost $3.92. American families did the math. They knew. And within 2 years, they were buying 25 million of them a year. So what were they actually paying for? To understand what the tray replaced, you have to be honest about what came before it. The American dinner table of the 1940s was not a greeting card. It was a workplace. Somebody spent part of every single day making it exist. And in almost every household in America, that somebody was a woman. Not on holidays, every day. Peeling, soaking, watching a pot, then feeding everyone, then washing every pan by hand because the automatic dishwasher was still a rich person's appliance. And at the end of all that, the family sat down together. Not because they were sentimental about it, because there was nowhere else to go. There was no other room in that house doing anything more interesting than the room with the food in it. That is the part people leave out when they get misty about the family dinner. The family ate together, in part because the family had no competition. In 1950, the competition moved into the living room, and it was extremely good at its job. But the frozen dinner wasn't invented for the living room. It wasn't invented for families at all. In 1944, an inventor named William L. Maxon was solving a military problem. The Navy needed to feed men in the air. Long missions over open ocean, in aircraft with no galley, no stove, and nowhere to sit down and eat properly. Maxon's answer was a complete meal, frozen solid, sealed in a partitioned tray, reheated in a compact oven he built for the purpose. He called them sky plates. Notice what the design assumes. It assumes there is no kitchen. It assumes there is nobody cooking. It assumes one person, one portion, and no table. Every one of those assumptions was about an airplane. Not one of them was about a home. After the war, Maxon put it on Pan American Airways and renamed it the Strato Meal, and there it stayed. For 7 years, the frozen dinner stayed a curiosity, something you ate in a uniform or at 30,000 feet. It was a solution sitting patiently, waiting for America to develop the problem. In September 1953, Swanson put a frozen turkey dinner into American grocery stores. 98 cents. The promise on the box: dinner in 25 minutes. There is a famous origin story attached to this, and I'll give you the short, honest version. The legend says Swanson was stuck with 260 tons of unsold Thanksgiving turkey riding around the country in refrigerated rail cars, and a salesman named Jerry Thomas saved the company by inventing the tray. The Swanson family's own heirs disputed that. Former employees disputed it. In 2003, the Los Angeles Times went through the whole claim and found people on every side calling it wrong. And partitioned frozen meal trays already existed. Maxon had been selling them for years. So the invention is contested, and it's going to stay contested. But one person's contribution isn't contested by anybody, and the legend has never belonged to her. Her name was Betty Cronin. She joined Swanson around 1949 as a bacteriologist, and the company handed her the actual engineering problem underneath the whole idea. Think about what that problem really is. Turkey, dressing, sweet potatoes, and peas do not cook in the same amount of time. They never have. Put them in one tray, and one of them is raw, or one of them is ruined. Every home cook in America knew this. It's the entire reason dinner took all afternoon. Cronin's job was to make 4 foods with 4 different cooking times finish at the same moment in an ordinary home oven, and to do it while killing everything that could make a family sick, because this was frozen food in an era when people did not entirely trust frozen food. She solved it. That's why the thing worked at all. The salesman got the legend, the company got the money, the bacteriologist got a footnote. Swanson planned to sell 5,000 trays. In 1954, the first full year, they sold more than 10 million. The year after that, 25 million. Every telling of this treats that as proof of a brilliant product. It isn't. Look at what else was moving through the American house at exactly that moment. In 1950, 9% of American homes had a television. By 1955, 64.5%. By 1960, 87%. The tray launched in 1953, sitting on the steepest part of that climb. And that timing is the whole story. I want to be precise here, because this is where this history usually gets told badly. The frozen dinner did not reach into American homes and change them. A tray can't do that. What the television did was create a problem that had never existed before. For the first time, the most interesting thing in the house was in a different room from the food. Something had to give. It was never going to be the television. And you can watch America solve it in real time. The folding TV tray goes on sale. Living rooms get rearranged so every chair faces one direction. And sitting there on the grocery shelf is a dinner that had been engineered years earlier for an aircraft. To need no kitchen, no cooking, and no table. Swanson's marketing chief understood exactly what he had. He had the box designed to look like a television set. Wood grain frame, control knobs, a picture where the screen goes. They weren't selling you a turkey dinner. They were selling you the evening. Which brings us back to the arithmetic. 98 cents a person when a whole pot roast cost $1.29. Median family income that year was $4,400. Nobody in that kitchen was confused about which option was cheaper. Ask the people who were actually there and they'll tell you flatly, it was expensive. Mothers running households of 8 and 10 kids priced it out and kept cooking, because cooking won on money, and it wasn't close. And yet, if you grew up in that era, you probably remember it as a treat, something that showed up occasionally, something a kid got to have all to themselves on a Friday as an event. Your own tray, your own compartments, nobody dividing it up for you. One man who grew up in a family of 10 described it better than any historian has. He said eating one made him feel like he was taking part in a conversation the entire country was having. That's what was actually being purchased. Not dinner, not time, membership. For about a decade, America was assembling something it had never had. One shared evening. The same programs at the same hour in nearly 90% of the houses in the country. And the aluminum tray was the ticket in. It was the proof that your family had arrived in the modern world along with everybody else's. Those families weren't paying 98 cents to save money. They were paying a premium to belong. Now a careful sentence, because this is the point where this story normally collapses into nonsense. The TV dinner did not destroy the American family dinner. A frozen tray does not have that kind of power, and anyone who tells you it does is selling you something. What was actually happening was slower and much larger, and the tray is one thread running through it. In 1950, 34% of American women were in the paid workforce. By 1980, 52%. Half the women in the country were now doing a full day of paid work and then coming home to a second full day of work that nobody had reassigned to anybody else. And here's what people actually remember when you ask them. It's almost never the food. It's her. They remember the tray coming out on the nights their mother got home with nothing left. They remember that it was the one dinner that asked her for nothing. No pans, no scrubbing, nothing to put away, no one waiting on her. The frozen dinner did not cause any of that. It arrived alongside it. What it did was make it survivable. So what did the tray really replace? Not cooking. Cooking survived. It moved, it thinned out, it changed hands, but it survived. You can buy a pot roast today. What it replaced was the requirement. For the whole history of the American household, eating together wasn't a value. It was a logistical fact. Food came out of one kitchen, in one batch, at one time, and everybody showed up because that was the only way to get fed. The tray was the first moment a dinner could be assembled, heated, eaten, and thrown away by one person. No table, no plate, no one else in the room. It removed the last practical reason to sit down together. Everything after that was a choice, and that had never been true before. The industry kept moving. In 1960, a fourth compartment appeared, for dessert. Cobbler, cherry pie, a brownie. In 1973, the hungry man, for a bigger appetite. By the 90s, the freezer aisle had split into diet meals and gourmet meals, and the wood grain television box was long gone. but the shape never changed. One portion. Separate compartments, nothing touching, built to be eaten by a single person facing a screen. That design won so completely that we stopped being able to see it as a design at all. It's just what dinner looks like now. A man wrote about his mother that when she died there was still a stack of those old aluminum trays in her house. She'd never thrown them out. They weren't trays to her. They were the nights she got to sit down.